everyone. Welcome to SFGovTV's Meet Your District Supervisor series. My name is Franco. I'm a first-generation San Francisco, born and raised in this great city, very active in this community. I've been an auctioneer for nearly 2+ decades, helping to raise lots of money for many local schools in the area, also nonprofits. But I'm also very known as the voice and hype man, if you will, in-arena host for your Golden State Warriors for the last 2+ decades as well. But I'm also a proud member of the San Francisco Film Commission here in San Francisco. But today, I have the pleasure to interview our Board of Supervisors president from District 8, Rafael Mandelman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, District 8, first off, includes the Castro, Glen Park, Noe Valley, Diamond Heights, Mission Dolores, and also Cole Valley. We'll dive into your district a little bit, down the road here. But let's talk about you, for instance. I want to know more about you. A lot of people want to know about your history. Where did you grow up? Your family background, and then obviously, how did you end up in San Francisco?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Southern California, so I'm a California kid. Grew up in Laguna Beach until I was 11 years old. Was living with my mom, who sort of was deteriorating as I was growing up. She had mental health issues. I had a grandmother in San Francisco, and so I moved up here when I was 11 to live with her. She was getting on in years, but I was fortunate. I was at a couple of small independent schools, Brandeis, at the time was Brandeis Hillel Day School,
yes,
and then Lake Wilmerding High School. And I sort of arranged these sort of informal, like do-it-yourself foster care arrangements with families at those schools. Ended up living for 3 years with an English teacher at Lick and her husband.
Wow.
That was my growing up, and then went away for school.
And then, now, you're, the president of the Board of Supervisors, which, congratulations, I know is a big role in our city, but we're gonna peel the onions and the layers in the onions, because there's so many layers to our supervisors, and getting to know your background is super important.
Yeah.
But why politics? Why did you get your career? What made you kind of decide, I'm gonna follow this career in politics? How long ago was that?
I've always thought government was really important and interesting. When other little boys were like collecting baseball cards, I was interested in, who was going to get the Democratic nomination in 1984. I have these scrapbooks from when I was growing up, and I would cut up these Time magazines and keep track of different politicians. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. But that was kind of my obsession as a kid. And actually, after that first year at Lick, the summer after that first year, I spent that summer interning on the Board of Supervisors.
Wow.
For a supervisor at the time. Her name was Doris Ward.
Okay.
So remained interested and kept my passion for politics through college, and went to law school, got a master's in public policy. Most of my professional work was representing local governments, doing transactional lawyering and giving advice to city councils and planning commissions and planning directors. In my spare time, I was getting involved in, San Francisco nonprofits and serving on a couple city commissions.
And then it's been that ever since. Labor of love and passion.
Yeah.
It's a lot of long nights and a lot of thoughts go into, obviously, your job and your current role at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's ask about the, basically, what do you hope to bring as board president? I mean, that is a huge responsibility. Is this something that you've always envisioned? Is this something that you've thought about before? Like, when did that actually click and say, oh my gosh, let's go for this?
Yeah. Well, I think we're in, I guess every moment is important, but we're in a pretty challenging moment with a lot of opportunities in San Francisco and in City Hall. We got a new mayor. We have 5 new supervisors. I'm the longest serving member of the Board of Supervisors, which is a little troubling to me. Time goes by way too fast.
You're now the veteran.
I'm now the veteran. And I think, and the reason for me to be doing this right now is that I am a consensus builder. I'm someone who's kind of in the middle of the board. Ideologically, I think I get along well with everyone. I think people see me as a straight shooter. And I really want to see, Daniel Lurie be successful as mayor. I think the city has enormous challenges still. I worked well with the prior mayor, but there's an opportunity now, because I think, particularly with this new cast of characters, people willing to give each other a a fair break and try to work together and be collaborative. And we need to, because we have these challenges enormous challenges, budget, federal government. There's a lot that, we're up against, but I think the fact that we do have this potential for collaboration in City Hall and an opportunity to look at some of the challenges that, we've been struggling with for a long time and maybe approach them in a different way.
This is a very pivotal moment in our city. And I like to say on the rise for sure. Pandemic was one thing. We've gone through a lot as a city, and now it's time to kind of bring that back up, right? Bring that gold that we know this gold has been here forever, right? And so we're going to do that. Let's talk about your district in particular, District 8.
Yeah.
What are your main priorities in your district, and what has been your priority, and what do you want to do in your district?
District, like all districts, District 8 has many different neighborhoods, and they're all different. They all have different needs. We have been quite focused in the time that I've been in office on the street conditions and behavioral health and homelessness challenges that we see, particularly in the Castro and the part of the district that's the mission. Although it impacts Zoe, it impacts Glen Park. I mean, there's not a neighborhood in San Francisco that is not impacted by these challenges. But we're really focused on trying to get help to severely mentally ill people, people with serious substance use disorders, who are disintegrating in plain sight and also causing enormous challenges for small businesses, for residents. I think we've had some progress, actually. I mean, I do think things are better now in that regard than they were certainly during the pandemic and even before. But there's still a ton of work to do.
There is a lot of work to do. But how do you ensure the underrepresented communities in your district are heard and also included in some of the decision-making process that we have to go through?
Yeah, I actually think San Francisco, has, I think, a culture of public participation and makes a real effort to engage people who are being impacted by decisions. I personally want to hear all sides of an issue, hear from the people who are actually going to be impacted by the decisions we're making. I think that's part of our culture as a city, and it's also part of what I think is important as an elected official.
And as an elected official, you have to balance a lot of things, especially in your role as board president. You have to do balance. How do you navigate balancing competing interests, especially when it's time to make those decisions in the city? How do you balance that? How do you find that perfect? Nothing's perfect. We all know that, but.
One of the things I try to do is get people to talk to each other. People love yelling at their elected officials, but in some ways, your elected officials are a stand-in for a set of people in your community who may not agree with the position that you have. People get very frustrated when the city doesn't pursue policies that seem self-evidently correct to them. I think it's useful to make people grapple with the perspectives of people who don't see it the same way. And in this city, even though we don't have that many, conservatives, say. There's a lot of room in the middle and the left to disagree. Yeah. And people do disagree. And I think it's good for people to hear each other out and actually start pressing against the areas where, those disagreements maybe are keeping the city from moving forward. And so that's, kind of my style in my district around particular issues. And it's also my style on the Board of Supervisors. Okay. See if we can get people who don't agree necessarily or think they disagree to sort of work out the actual details. And sometimes we don't disagree as much as we think we do. Yeah.
And it's hard to have the same opinion for everything all the time. You're going to have differences, but navigating through that is very challenging and tough, but everybody has valid points. You just got to listen to them all, right, and put them all together.
I think it's good for people to remember that and try to live by that.
That's true. On a lighter side, San Francisco, we know, is a beautiful backdrop. So many things to do, places to see, lots of great food. I mean, we've got it all. I personally feel a lot of us do. What would you normally do? I'm just curious. On a Sunday, let's say, if you didn't have any work to do and you just had some free time.
Those Sundays.
Who has no free time, right? But what would you do? What's something that Rafael would say? This would be my kind of day in San Francisco, ideal day.
I love getting outside. I love seeing my friends. Okay. So if I do have, it is rare that I have an unscheduled Sunday. But if I do have an unscheduled Sunday, getting out and seeing we have amazing natural areas and parks in the city, whether it's Ocean Beach or Land's End or the Northwest Waterfront or Chrissy Field or Glen Canyon in my district or Buena Vista Park or we are so, and I haven't gotten, I've left out most of the parks that are amazing in the city, but there's so many amazing spaces to get outdoors and walk around. And I love an urban hike.
Okay, an urban hike is always fun. And I rediscovered my own city doing that as well.
Yeah.
Walk through all these neighborhoods and backdrops. They're so beautiful. The city has so many gems. I know that it's hard to pick favorites and whatnot, but what is a bright light that you can highlight that, since you've been in office, that your district has highlighted, demonstrated, and shown just a perfect example? Like, this is what my district is like. That's a win for District 8. What is that moment? Is there one?
I mean, there's so many neighborhoods that are a win for the whole city. Dolores Park is right in the heart of
love it.
Heart of my district, and it's definitely been through some challenges.
Right.
And during the pandemic, there were tents pretty much all the way along Dolores Street, and lots of people camping in the park, and actually some concerns about safety, shootings, and not to say that those problems are all gone, because they're not, and there is violence still, and there are still occasional horrible events, and but I do think that area has become safer, more pleasant, and better. And it's just such a great, it brings people from all walks of life and all parts of the city. So Dolores Park is great.
Dolores Park is great. And what's lovely about our city is probably within 10 minutes, you can find some park, some outdoor public space that can be used for a variety of things.
Yeah.
And I think we're very lucky. We can walk. It's a true walking city.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so talking about your district, we talked about a highlight there. What is something that you want to do in this kind of short-term future, but then also the long-term future, like the legacy, especially when it comes to your particular district, kind of like the 3 to 5, and then like that 5 to 10 and beyond. Start with the kind of the shorter, immediate future. What do you hope to see?
I think as I look at my district, the neighborhood that kind of means the most to the world and also has the greatest challenges is the Castro.
Okay.
It means the most to the world because it's where LGBT politics in a lot of ways were born. Harvey Milk's Camera Shop, is there. So many of the marches that were critical for the queer community, for the fight against HIV, all these. It's a neighborhood with incredible history.
It does.
And it is also, of the neighborhoods in my district, the one that's been most impacted by degraded street conditions, where there are the highest level of vacancies, where small businesses and residents are really struggling with our inability to deal effectively with the mental health challenges we have. Okay. So for me, with these last 2 years that I have in office, I really want to make some progress on having places that are appropriate for people with severe mental illness. I've worked on expanding our inventory of beds for people with behavioral health issues in the time that I've been on the board, and I'm proud of the work that we've done. But we still have an acute shortage of the kind of beds you would use for someone who needs to be conserved. And that's a facility that has a lock on the front door. You don't get to leave unless people decide that you can go out, and you're losing a level of autonomy, but you're also getting the care that you need. And as you go out in San Francisco, probably much more in neighborhoods that I don't represent, but even in some of the neighborhoods I do represent, you see folks who need that level of care. We have 140 of those beds. We've submitted applications to the state for funding for 100 more of those beds.
To increase that.
And I want to work on trying to make that happen over these last...
Try to double.
Basically coming close to doubling it. Yeah. I co-chaired a task force on this problem over through the last year of the Breed administration. We put out a report the day before her last day in office. But basically it was talking about the need for this kind of bed, and also for more board and care facilities for people who maybe don't need to be in a locked facility, but do need something that has a higher level of care than you're going to get, say, thrown into a permanent supportive housing unit.
I see.
This is not, I don't think we need these types of beds for most unhoused people. I don't think we need them to deal with most of our encampment challenges, but there's a set of folks who really do need that higher level of care. The state of California went out of the business in the 20th century. No one's really gotten, stepped up. And we can't do it all in San Francisco, but we can do more than what we're doing, and we should.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I want to highlight a little something different on the Castro District. It's one of my favorite districts and areas in San Francisco. I live literally minutes away. I'm a big movie and film buff. Milk is one of my most favorite movies of all time about San Francisco, based about San Francisco, right? I would love, I have to throw in a film commission question in there. I mean, we have some iconic places to shoot from in the city. Castro's got a lot of history. I want to get another movie. What would be another movie coming out of the Castro be like? Like, because there's so much history. The Castro Theater, what about that? Is there any, what an iconic place.
Well, the Castro Theater is a great place to open movies, and, and they have had great openings there. And how fun it was to have Milk get shot, largely the movie get shot in the Castro. I mean, thank you for your work on the Film Commission to try and get more films made in San Francisco.
It's good marketing for us. And people remember those movies. They say, that was shot here, Milk, Pursuit of Happiness, all those. But
Well, I'm hoping the Castro Theater will be open soon.
I can't wait.
Like all projects, it's going more slowly than we would like. But have you seen the inside? Did you get to tour the inside?
I'll tell you something. I actually painted a little slab of paint at the top. I did a little behind-the-scenes feature when it was gutted out. Have you been to the top? That thing has not been touched for nearly 100+ years. And they were refurbished, and it looks beautiful.
With this amazing detail.
Unbelievable.
When they, it was Timothy Pfluger, I think. But, the detail they put into that building.
Every little detail
Most people are never going to see it. Those of us who were lucky enough to, get up
the
close.
hard hat tour, which is pretty high. I'm not good with heights. But did you get a chance to,
I didn't get to paint anything. I don't know why.
I just said, let me just have a little piece of history, one little thing. And I asked my permission. They said, okay, because this is a historic building, but no one's been up there for so long. But what a bright gem. That's just a great, I'm into film and all that.
It's important that it keeps showing film.
It is, and it's a beautiful part of our city. It's great. Well, let's talk about this. I'm going to close out with this. Thank you for sharing. There's so much to talk about, but such little time. But I do have these rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
One word answers. Now, some of your other supervisors, they were kind of going off. I want to hear just fast paced what comes to mind when I throw in some questions.
It's very disturbing.
Either this or that. You ready?
I'm concerned.
Okay, all right. I'll make it easy for you. How about this? Let's start with the easy first one. How about this? Giants or Dodgers?
Giants.
You said SoCal. Oh, I hear crowds in the back over there. They're a good answer, Giants. See,
Giants.
The kids are excited.
I
always ask and give, SoCal folks. I said, okay, you have your SoCal, NorCal rivalries, but you're NorCal, San Francisco all the way. Good answer. I love it. Okay, hiking or biking?
Hiking.
Okay, cable car or bus?
Cable car.
Okay. Best view in the city?
Best Twin Peaks, top of Twin Peaks.
I do love Twin Peaks. Okay. Can you tell me public park or a private garden?
Public park.
Of course. How about this? Golden Gate Bridge or Bay Bridge?
Golden Gate Bridge.
For sure. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Middle, window, or aisle seat when flying?
Aisle.
Okay. I'm an aisle guy too. Yes. That means easy exits, bathrooms.
I don't want to be crawling over people. For some reason, it's fine to have people have to crawl over me, but I don't want to
That's an important question, especially when you're traveling with other people. What do you want, right? Okay, just a handful more. Sunset or sunrise?
Sunrise.
BART or Muni?
Muni.
Okay. Tech or the arts?
Sorry, tech, but the arts.
The arts? Okay, I'm with you on that. Couple more. Foggy mornings in San Francisco, or would you want those clear skies? The very few that we do. At least in mine. What do you think?
It took me till I was 16 years old to realize the whole city was not living in fog all the time. But I think I don't love it. I grew up in the fog. I don't love the fog. So the clear skies.
The clear skies. Okay, Carl the Fog, if you're listening.
Sorry, Carl.
Rafael said he's going to go with clear skies.
Yeah.
Okay, one last thing. If you had to pick between 4 flavors, I'm going to give you chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, or green tea.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Well, I got a little something here to close out our interview.
What?
Surprises. You've heard of the...
Oh, yeah.
Golden Gate Fortune Cookie
Yeah,
Company.
they're amazing.
You said chocolate.
Chocolate.
So pick one.
There
Okay,
we
you
go.
sure that one? All right. Now, read the fortune. And let's see if you can
everybody.
answer this question. See how it can read it out loud and then tell us kind of how it relates to who you are and maybe what you're doing, obviously your current role. What does it say?
You are acutely sensitive to your environment.
Acutely sensitive to your environment. Okay, how would you apply that as we close out this interview segment?
Well,
As you reflect.
we do a lot of environmental work in my office, so
Okay.
I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose to read it as
That's good.
we're trying to do work for the environment.
That's a very good answer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making our area and district
Yeah.
so nice. And it was really great to talk to you.
Good
This
talking
is
to you.
amazing. I want to eat that cookie now. You could eat it. It's yours.
I'm eating the cookie.
There, you eat the cookie.
Eat the cookie?
There you go.
Ready
Eat the
for this?
cookie. It's all good. Well, thank you so much, District 8 Board of Supervisors President Rafael Mandelman. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to find out more about our city, we have great programming. Also, if you want to see your meetings live, you can also tune in on sfgovtv.org. We'll see you next time.